cancer is like not curable. So
we have gotten from a survival of 5% with metastatic melanoma to 50%.
What is your toxic trait when it comes to managing deadline pressure?
Yes, it's much more safe. We can minimize that.
How helpless it makes you. When we hear about cancer research, it sounds too serious.
My parents went to travel to London and I wanted to be a model.
It was like destined for you. I was calling you.
there is only one disease which is not curable, and which is cancer.
So today we have a special guest with us, someone who is working at the intersection of science and real world impact. Her work is about making therapies smarter, safer and more targeted. So we are joined by Margherita, a PhD researcher at Imperial College. Welcome, Margherita.
Hello, hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for doing the honors of being our first. She's going to be our first guest of our podcast.
Yeah.
So you're currently focused on engineering the immune system of fighting cancer. When we hear about cancer research, it sounds too serious, and it is serious. And of course, life-changing if things are working out for you. Do you want to tell us, like you're telling a 12-year-old, if you want to explain like what you exactly do?
Okay. Yes, so I work in bioengineering and immunoengineering, so engineering the immune system to fight cancer, and that is basically how the same way that the immune system would fight off bacteria and viruses during the flu or during an infection. We can engineer our own immune system to fight the cancer more targetedly, more safely, and so we can have less side effects.
Mm-hmm.
So the current standard for care for cancer is usually chemotherapy and radiotherapy or surgery, which is what people are familiar with. And immunotherapy is slowly emerging as one of the most groundbreaking fields, really.
So you think that this could like replace chemotherapy if it works?
Hopefully in the long run, yes, because it's much more safe, and as you know, sometimes when you see people that get treated with chemotherapy, they lose their hair and they have very severe side effects. And hopefully with immunotherapy, we can minimize that and have much more safe and better therapies.
Mm-hmm. And this sounds really interesting because, this can definitely change the way we look at the cancer cure. When you search the internet, like there is only one disease which is not curable, and which is cancer, of course. So yeah, it's really interesting. So I would want to ask a question on like, did this path happen to you with time? You always knew that this is what you want to do when you grow up. How did this come to you? Like, why this field?
I don't think it's a linear path. I think it was very much of a snake and ladder kind of game. So going up and then falling down and figuring out different things. And I didn't really want to become a researcher growing up. I didn't really know what I wanted to be. When I was a child, I wanted to be a croupier at the casino. I wanted to be a model. So I wanted to be everything else but a researcher.
I can totally see you as a model.
No, I was really small when I was thinking that. It wasn't like a research or anything. But yeah, so I was thinking about like completely diverse kind of path. I didn't really expect myself to become, but I really always loved studying, and when I was young, I loved being at school. I loved learning things, and then that kind of brought me down to go to university, and I really liked science, but I also liked maths. I kind of liked everything, engineering, but also like more about the discovery and the curiosity of science. So I wanted to find something that could bring all of this together, and I discovered about bioengineering, which is really a broad part of engineering, which allows you to really kind of learn from many different fields. And I got into that, and then I just loved it so much. So
wasn't something like you decided from childhood, it just sort of molded in you with different things that as they came. Tell us about Imperial. Like everybody's excited about Imperial. It's one of the world's greatest universities. So how did you get into Imperial? What's your story?
So I actually quite a funny story, because when I was a child, well, in my family we all grow up in Venice, in Italy. We didn't really go much abroad. My parents don't speak English. I was lucky because my parents always pushed for me to learn English, and I will always be grateful for that and for the open vision, you know. When I was young, my parents went to travel to London, and they were looking for a cheap place to stay. And you know this story.
Yeah. No, now I can connect the dots.
They were looking for a cheap place to stay for the night that they were in London, and they looked on Booking.com. It was about 2012, and they found the Imperial College summer accommodation. So they stayed in Gabor Hall, which is over there, this East Side Hall, and they stayed here, and they thought it's like a hostel and it may be cheap, so they stayed. And in the morning they were offering breakfast included with the price, so my parents went inside the uni and they had breakfast, and then they were like, oh, this looks like an amazing place to be. And then they saw these Nobel Prizes on the wall and they were so excited. And then they bought some merch from Imperial and some like t-shirts for me. So when they came back home, I was around 11, 12 years old, and they gifted me all these t-shirts that say Imperial College on it. And it even had the old logo, the one that is now banned.
Yeah.
And I was wearing these t-shirts like to sleep, you know, and I didn't even question it, like, you know, a child doesn't really bother too much, especially with clothes. And then later on, when I was like 17, 18, I started thinking, where do you want to go? And again, I was in a normal high school, just a standard Italian high school, where there is not much approach for going abroad or like for, you know, this kind of strange paths. Usually people would just go to Italy to university, you know, I guess the same experience you guys had. And then I was thinking, maybe, you know, I speak English well, why don't I try and go explore the world? So I look up online and then I found Imperial College London and I see, wow, it's a top university. I didn't even know anything about this. So then I submit an application, and then luckily enough I got into this program, which I really liked. And guess that when I started, I actually applied for the student accommodation and I was assigned the same one where my parents stayed. Which was kind of like a circle that closes itself.
Yes, oh my god, life is so short and so funny, right? It was like destined for you. It was calling you.
I think so, that's why I was like, when I was offered the place at Imperial, and then I was debating, should I go, should I stay? I had options, I could choose. But then I was like, this sounds like, you know, the destiny is calling me. So
it was all, I think it was all destiny.
If you were not here, then we would not be talking like this.
Exactly.
5 PhD. If someone who is interested in cancer research or bioengineering, do they have to go through PhD? Like, there are other engineering courses which allows you without PhD to get a job in those sectors, but is that doable in cancer research?
I think so. I think, cancer research and a lot of the medical kind of research, they tend to like very difficult terms and very difficult acronyms. So when you say to me like, oh, explain this as a 12-year-old, I don't like that. You know, like it's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be understandable. When we do research, we're supposed to do it for the crowd, for everyone, not just for the elite who speaks their own jargon. So I think they kind of, in the academic field, they kind of love titles and they love people who go through this whole path of PhD and so on. But if you just like the research, you definitely can approach any kind of institution and try to get into lab technician role or research assistant. But if you enter any startup, the possibilities of growth are much, much higher as well. So I don't think a PhD is necessary. A PhD is a different journey on its own.
It's good to have, but it's not absolutely necessary if you are interested in the subject.
Yeah, I think it can help, of course, but I think it must be taken more as a journey of its own, more than a possibility of career, because it's such a difficult journey that if you're only doing it for your career, then it's gonna weigh on you even more.
So let's get into the highs and lows of your PhD. We keep talking about it. You often mention about your experiments that you're designing, and you spend like loads and loads of hard work into it. So did this happen to you ever, that you had this experiment planned out for months and you were putting so much of stake, like you had high hopes on that experiment and it eventually failed? So in such situations, how do you handle your mental health? Can you tell us more on that?
Of course, yeah, I think it's very common, especially if one studies any biology or like fundamental science field. It is just very common to hit a roadblock and then have a failed experiment. And it's more about kind of learning that we are not our experiments and we are people independently of our results. We are good people and we're working for a good cause. And it does happen, and it happens all the time. I'm planning an experiment for months, and then the reagent doesn't come on time, and then the machine has been booked for a month, so the other machine gets broken, and then it's not even like linked to my hypothesis and my experiments actually failing. It's just the circumstances around it, which drives you crazy, but it's part of the game. But I think it's even harder, when the experiment fails and it actually just doesn't resemble, or the hypothesis that you thought, was the reality that doesn't match. It hits you because again, you're kind of like tying your own personality around this, especially the more time you invest into it, the more time you spend thinking about it. And we were talking about it with Sunil, like how much, you go to bed and you're still thinking about your PhD, and then you go out and like even when you're on holidays, you're just like, oh, it's great to be on holidays, but just thinking about my PhD all the time. So it's hard to kind of like break free from that person you are in the lab and you are in your PhD.
You have to take conscious efforts to separate yourself from experiment, because like the way you are invested in it, you just tie yourself to it. You become like one thing, one person.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is what I also was talking about when I was talking about my PhD. So you asked me a question about like how do you measure the progress of a PhD, and in such scenarios, after a month you are at the starting point, like your experiment failed and you did it for 2 months and you again came back to the same starting point. It is so difficult to quantify the efforts.
And the other thing is with academia, a lot of the time people publish only positive results.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't really know what journey someone has been through and how long it has taken to write a paper, for example. Sometimes I read some papers and I was just like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And they're like, yes, it took us 6 years to do that paper and we were 3 postdocs working on it. And you're like, so you can only imagine how much this path has taken,
I feel like somebody should actually document this work that goes behind because it makes us appreciate the paper or the research or the result more. Because like you said, that people don't see what is going on in the background. All they see is the result. They see the paper, or if if you're you say you launch a new medicine and it's just fantastic, they don't see what happened behind, like how many people cried over it. So we need to really appreciate that more, because even me, like who is not from a research, I wouldn't have that kind of appreciation until I've actually seen that what actually went behind it. So it's really nice. That takes me to a question about deadlines. You said there were 6 years, like it takes 5 months, 6 years. You don't know, there is no deadline. But there are still deadlines in our work, right? Every time. So, and everybody manages pressure, deadline pressure differently. Like I eat tubs and tubs of ice cream. Sunil drowns in chai. What is your toxic trait when it comes to managing deadline pressure?
I always have a little bit of chocolate next to my pillow. So I have my hidden box where I keep all my chocolate. Nobody has to know. So
you're not gonna tell anyone.
And I would say like chocolate definitely helps and releases a bit of endorphin and so on before sleep. I also started dancing salsa, which is great, and it really does help release a lot of the stress and pressure. Even just like a couple of songs, and it doesn't take you away from work for too long, and it's just like relaxes you, eases your brain, and it's just a great way.
I love that. It's taking me forever to convince Sunil to go salsa. So
I'm
can
very bad at
imagine.
dancing. You saw me in my
Am I
marriage.
good? I'm terrible at salsa.
You were so good. Like you planned out the entire sequence.
She choreographed everybody in the wedding and she's saying, I'm not good. Everybody was like looking at Margherita, what she's doing, everyone is copying her.
Yeah. And the idea about that song was from
Was her.
Margarita. Yeah, like she wanted to
You're
do that.
downplaying yourself too much.
So I want to know about that one thing, like that drives everybody. For example, like when I go to lab, I go because I am keen to see what my simulation results have shown. So similarly, you might have something which kind of wakes you up and make you want to go to lab and do your research every day after these lows and highs. What is that one thing that takes you to the lab and start working again every day?
I think teaching students. I really like teaching them. So I have a master student that I supervise, and then I've had before some undergraduate students who were coming in and out of the lab, and I get to teach some classes as well. And this is something that is not necessarily my PhD, but it's still something that gets me to go to the lab and learn more things, so that then I can teach more things. And obviously, like, I love to go to the lab and see my results from the previous day, or like visualize, but that has led to too many roller coasters and I don't want to go through that. So at least it's steady to, knowing that I go to the lab and I have some students, and
That's so nice. That is, I think, fantastic. Like, the drive for you is to pass on your knowledge to other people, and I think that's the best drive. Yeah. That's so selfless because you don't benefit anything from it. All you're doing is you're sharing your knowledge, your wisdom to other people, and that's really amazing.
I think I can tie back to what makes me want to go to the lab is also the fact that what we do in our lab on a day-to-day is really linked to solving cancer and trying to push forward the different tiers of cancer research. And I think I've seen growing up, you hear it so much, people who get sick, and then growing up I remember people saying a bad disease. They wouldn't even say the word cancer growing up. And I remember that stayed with me, and I was just like, how is it possible that disease can be so bad that we cannot even say the name, So that, thinking that we can make a difference, and even if it's a small one, even if it's just one step, a million steps eventually will make something, right? Yeah. So this idea that, we can, if we try.
Yes, I mean, I can imagine that because I don't know anybody very personally who has faced cancer, but I know, like, from far that how helpless it makes you, and how helpless it makes people who are with you, maybe your partner, your family, and what you're doing, if it works out, I think it's going to have a huge impact on the world. So
I think one of the biggest impacts, I would say, like I have known people who have gone through cancer, and I've seen their family, like how the family suffer, and because once you hear the name cancer, like your family is like completely shattered, like they are really helpless because cancer is like not curable. So you are talking about your family member to be not with you like shortly after the disease is discovered, right? Like, so once they become cancer positive, then it becomes like really hard.
It's hard
for the entire families to kind of like cope that.
But it's gotten so much better. Like, just to end on a positive note, it's gotten so much better. In growing up, we would hear the word, and then it was quite scary. Nowadays, like, one can have a cancer and be fine. They can detect it really early, and even with immunotherapy itself, we have gotten from a survival of 5% in metastatic melanoma to 50%. It's saved hundreds, thousands of people just with this idea that won the Nobel Prize a few years back. So it's really changing, and it's a positive outlook.
Yes, of course. So you're away from home. I just wanted to bring that up. And you're doing this. So how hard is it to be, away from your family and you're all by yourself? I mean, I am an immigrant, he's an immigrant, we know that journey, but I don't think we talk about it enough. So how hard is it for you to be away from home?
Yeah, I think so. I moved here about 6 years ago, so for my undergraduate studies, and I think when you move and you're just 19 years old, it's just everything is exciting, and you're not thinking about back home. You're just like, oh, this is a new world for me, and this is all new. I'm just gonna enjoy, and I love this place, and I didn't think about it for all my undergraduate studies, and then when I started my PhD. I feel like with the prospect of being away for 4 more years, I kind of looked back and thought, it's been already 4 years I was away. I'm halfway through basically, and it's a long time to be away. And you'll understand it better than me because you're even farther away. But every time you go back home, and then you see the people, you see lives are changing, and parents are getting older. And it's kind of like visiting a place where you don't belong anymore at the same time. So in a way, like I really do feel like going back and just I wanna, establish my life there, but then at the same time, there is limited opportunities, and once you've experienced here, it's just so hard to go back. Like I just think about the internationality of people that I meet. Like I have friends from all over the world, and nothing can beat that. It's just an experience that
I think like you hit a nail there when you said that you don't belong when you go back home, and I feel that so much. There is this shift in your life that when you go back home, you're telling, like when I tell you I'm going to India, I would say I'm going home, but when I am there, it's not home anymore. Now I also miss here, and but when you're here, you miss that. So you don't really belong in either of the places, and that's like the hardest part of being an immigrant. I feel like you love this, and this is also home, and that is also home, but also neither are home.
100%.
So it is hard, but I think that's how life is, and you get through it.
Of course, yeah.
They all kind of are extremely crucial for you to function at the maximum, efficiency. So in terms of the environment, how important it is for a PhD researchers to have good lab environment, good lab colleagues and supervisors. Can you throw a light on that?
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that maybe people talk the least about, and I think it does play an important role when it comes to choosing your lab for your PhD. So I think it does matter which supervisor you have, how much experience, how much input, how much interest they have towards your research. And obviously you can never really know until you're into the project and into your PhD. But talking to people who are already in the lab, understanding whether your wavelengths are similar, whether you feel kind of like you could be friends with these people, it's really important. And at the same time, I think it also depends on how much, kind of where you're coming from, if you have loads of experience before you start a PhD, if you're like a very experienced engineer, researcher, and then you come into a PhD job, then you will have a very different experience to someone who just finished their undergraduate studies and goes straight into PhD.
Yes.
So that also matters, and that's also something that one should
builds you as a person. I have to ask this one. Do researchers like from medical background judge bad movies, bad science shown in the movie? Do you judge that?
100%. I think we all do. Well, first, I think one thing is that a lot of the times the scientists are depicted as the mad people in the movies, and I hate that. Like it's just such a
stereotype.
Yes, honestly. Like I mean, starting from classic like Frankenstein, but going like all the way. There's always like depicted as the bad people.
Like all the great villains, they are all doctors, PhDs. So that's not true. Or are you on the verge?
So like also have you seen those superhero movies like where like this one animal is created and the first thing that it does is like kill the scientist who created. Like I don't want to die that way. Like even if I create a creature, like I don't know.
It's the worst way to die, by your own creation.
Then the rest is when we look at like people actually like depicting stuff in the lab, like how they will go into a lab and then, for example, they don't wear gloves, or they wear gloves and then touch a door. So in Project Hail Mary, they like set up a centrifuge, which is the thing that goes like this, and then they'll not balance it, so it will just basically explode, but in the movie it doesn't magically explode. For once, the scientist was the good guy, but he wasn't balancing the centrifuge, so we thought he wasn't a real scientist, was he?
So I literally like saw this movie where some person throws a heart in the street. Like the heart is like pumping in your hand, and this person throws a heart. It breaks the glass on the third floor of the building. And then it goes into the person where the surgery is happening. Like the person, so basically like the heart is open, some doctors are doing some surgery, and this guy who is supposed to be like a husband or a boyfriend of this female, this heart comes from the broken window and then it goes into the right place, and then she wakes up. Like this is the worst.
Supernatural movie, supernatural movie. They call
these are the
sci-fis.
This is not even a sci-fi movie. Like this is a movie, like random movie, like love-based movie, like love romance.
Yeah, you shouldn't call it a science. What is the one advice that you would like to give somebody who is aspiring to get into the cancer research or get into Imperial? What is that one advice that you would like to give?
Yeah, I think just take the risk, go, try it out. If it doesn't work, it's fine. You did an experience, and just go for it. I think that was the best advice someone gave me. So I think it's good to just try it out and try your best and fly.
I think that advice keeps circling again and again.
Back.
That just go for it. A lot of people, we including me, we all hesitate to start something or just go for something like like something is a long shot, and I'm like, I don't think I can get into world's best university, maybe no. But you would never know until you just go for it.
For sure.
You like you said, if it doesn't work out, you still have that experience.
So let's do now the rapid fire round and
make things interesting.
Yeah. So the first one is PhD in one word.
A marathon.
Lab work or data analysis?
I would say it's data analysis.
Coffee or tea during deadlines?
Chai.
Love that.
Yeah. It infected me.
One habit that changed your life?
Breathing. Taking a breath sometimes, just
This is the whole podcast about, to pause. That's the thing, like just breathe. Sometimes you just have to breathe. Just that's amazing. I think you just wrapped everything up together.
The whole essence of this episode is kind of covered in that one word.
Whole essence of this channel is covered actually. That you need to sometimes, the world is running so fast, you really need to breathe. Who is that one person that you want this to reach to?
I think any young girls that is debating whether they should go or whether they should stay, I think I'd want them to hear this story and think maybe I should just try it out.
Even if it reaches to that one right person, I think we have done our job and you have done your job. Okay. That was really nice conversation with you, Margarita. We learned so much. We
enjoyed the conversation.
We enjoyed the conversation and we understood more about what you do, what is that important contribution that you and your team and other researchers in cancer are doing, and it was really lovely having you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me. That was really a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.